So there's this new report that came out saying that 20% of EV owners went back to buying gas cars.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, hang on as we dig in a little bit deeper and uncover more of the truth behind this questionable report headline.
Yeah, it's important with all of these reports to look at who they surveyed and when.
So first is that the data from this report came from this survey, Discontinuance Among California's Electric Vehicle Buyers. Why are some consumers abandoning their electric vehicles?
The survey was conducted between 2016 and 2019 on 4,000 Californian households of people who owned a plug-in EV between 2012 and 2018.
Okay, so stop there. Plug-in EV, PEV, not a term, I would argue. In this case, it basically just means a plug-in hybrid or a full battery electric vehicle. And I would just like to point out one of the first plug-in hybrids we ever reported on Tesla Time News back on Tesla Time News #1 was like the BMW 330e series with a 14-mile battery range.
Why wait when you can buy the BMW 330e plug-in hybrid? This car gets 14 miles of electric range.
What is the point?
I remember that.
It was like, would you put a drill in there? And basically they had 14 miles of electric range and then like a V8 or a V6 engine, turbo powered. It's like, what are you talking about? This is not a plug-in car. This is just a gas car that you conformed to work with CARB.
This is a really good point. Between 2012 and 2018, the EV choices were far more limited than they are today. I mean, you had Leafs and you had i3s with low range and you had some fairly crappy plug-in hybrids. And they even admitted in this report that the EV that most people went back to gas from was the Fiat 500e. And that's because, again, it had really small range.
And those are just the ones that you've heard of.
Yeah.
There were also some crazy ones that you've never seen or heard of before, like the Chevrolet Spark EV, the Ford Focus EV, the Honda Fit EV, the Smart EV, which, of course, you might have heard of because it's interesting looking. But these are cars that we barely talk about today because they were just basically souped up golf carts. And the only reason they were sold in California, the only place that they were sold practically, was because of the California Air Resource Board regulations.
Yeah, and the EV that the least number of people went back to gas from was Tesla at just 11%. And that was pretty much before the Model 3 came out.
So I think the better takeaway from this survey is that even with way worse EVs to choose back then, this survey still shows 80% of people stuck with EVs.
Yeah, in fact, only 18% of BEV owners went back to gas. It was 20% of plug-in hybrid owners that went back to gas cars. So exactly, this is actually a good thing. If back then still people stuck with their EVs, imagine if you did the survey now.
And, with the plug-in hybrid thing, yes, there's the Volt. A great plug-in hybrid, a great EV range that you can pretty much get around in. And then for the long stuff, you get, you resort to the gas. I get it. But there were so many plug-in hybrids with little teeny tiny ranges that people basically didn't even think to plug in because the range was so pathetic and the performance was so pathetic on electric because it had these little teeny tiny batteries, these little teeny tiny motors. And the idea was basically, you have this thing which gets us past the regulators and the rest of it is going to be good old fashioned gas. So for most people, it didn't feel like they were switching from PHEV to gas. They were just switching from gas to gas.
Exactly.
But a lot of news agencies will come out with this, like 1 in 5 EV owners go back to gas. And it's like, from really old data. I mean, they started in 2016.
Yeah. Plus, I would just argue that any time you sell someone a product and 80% of them stick with your product, that's still amazing.
Yeah, I just think that this is like a really skewed report. I mean, you found the right place at the right time where the worst EVs were being sold, and then you don't even break out the data. We'd have to pay some ridiculous amount of money to actually go through the report, and we probably wouldn't even be able to show it on the show.
Yeah.
Such a weird world we live in where a report can come out and it's super skewed and people can just take it and be like, look, EVs suck. 1 in 5 people hate it.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching Now You Know Clips. You can watch full episodes of Tesla Time News on Mondays and in-depths on Fridays. Just click the link down below to head over to the Now You Know channel.